This is talk 5 from the book Knowing and Seeing by the Venerable Pa-Auk Sayadaw, entitled How You Discern Mentality. This is a disclaimer from Josh. Of course, this is not read from my own personal attainment and knowledge firsthand. While I might grasp some of these concepts cognitively, I obviously don't know the full extent of them from my own practice. With that said, there is something to be said about reading these out loud. So it's kind of for my use, and everyone else is welcome to listen in as well. Introduction, here we go. In our last talk, we discussed how to develop 4 elements meditation and also how to analyze the particles of materiality called rupa kalapas. In this talk, we shall discuss briefly about how to discern mentality, which is the next stage in Vipassana meditation. Let me begin by explaining briefly the basic facts of the mind necessary to understand the discernment of mentality. As is explained in the Abhidhamma, the mind consists of a consciousness that knows its object and associated mental factors that arise with that consciousness. There are 52 such associated mental factors. For example, contact, vasa, feeling, vedana, perception, sanya, volition, chetana, one-pointedness, ekagata, life faculty, jitvita, indriya, and attention, manasikara. There are a total of 89 types of consciousness, and they can be classified according to whether they are wholesome, unwholesome, or indeterminate, or according to their sphere of existence: the sensual sphere, the fine material sphere, immaterial sphere, or according to whether they are mundane or supramundane. We may, however, speak of just 2 basic types of consciousness. Number 1, the consciousness of the mental process. Number 2, the process separate consciousness outside the mental process at rebirth and death, and of the bhavanga. There are 6 types of mental processes. The first 5 are the eye door, ear door, nose door, tongue door, and body door processes, whose respective objects are visible forms, sounds, smells, tastes, and tangibles. They are together called the 5-door process. The 6th type of process has all objects as its objects and is called the mind door process. Each mental process comprises a series of different types of consciousness. The consciousnesses in any one mental process occur according to the natural law of consciousness. If you want to discern mentality, you must see them as they occur in the order of that natural law. To do so, you must first have developed concentration with either anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, another samatha meditation subject, or 4 elements meditation. A pure Vipassana vehicle yogi must also have finished the discernment of materiality before he starts on discernment of mentality. A samatha vehicle yogi, however, can choose. He can first discern materiality or first discern the mentality of the jhanas he has attained, fine material/immaterial mentality. Although to discern sensual realm mentality, he too needs first to have finished the discernment of materiality. The 4 stages to discern mentality. Mentality is discerned in 4 stages. Number 1, discerning all the types of consciousness that occur internally. Number 2, discerning each and every mental formation associated with all the types of consciousness one is able to discern. Number 3, discerning the sequences of consciousness, that is, the mental processes that occur at the 6 sense doors. And number 4, discerning external mentality generally. If you have attained jhana with, for example, anapanasati, mindfulness of breathing, the best place to start is to discern mentality is the jhana consciousness and associated mental factors. There are two reasons for this. The first reason is that when developing jhana, you discern the 5 jhana factors, which means you have some experience in discerning those associated mental factors. The second reason is that the jhana impulsion consciousnesses occur many times in succession and are therefore prominent and easy to discern. This is in contrast to sensual sphere process in which impulsion occurs only 7 times before a new mental process occurs. So, to discern the mentality of jhana, you begin by reestablishing the first jhana with, for example, anapanasati, till the light is bright, brilliant, and radiant. Emerge from it and discern the bhavanga, mind door, and the anapana pativanga nimitta together. When the nimitta appears in the bhavanga, discern the mental formations that are the 5 jhana factors according to their natural characteristic. The 5 jhana factors are: number 1, application, vitakka, directing and placing the mind on the anapana pativanga nimitta. Number 2, sustainment, vikara, maintaining the mind on the anapana pativanga nimitta. Number 3, joy, piti, liking for the anapana pativanga nimitta. And number 4, bliss, sukha, happiness about the anapana pativanga nimitta. Number 5, one-pointedness, ekaggata, one-pointedness of mind on the anapana pativanga nimitta. Practice until you can discern all 5 jhana factors all at once in each first jhana impulsion consciousness, jhavana chitta, and then proceed to discern all 34 mental formations. You begin with either consciousness, vijnana, contact, phassa, or feeling, vedana, whichever is most prominent. And then add 1 mental formation at a time. Discern first 1 type, then add 1, so you discern 2 types of mental formation. Add 1 more so you see 3, add 1 more so you see 4, etc., until eventually you see all 34 types of mental formation in each first jhana impulsion consciousness. They are: number 1, consciousness, chitta. So the mental factors, chittasika, 7 universals: contact, feeling, perception, volition, one-pointedness, life faculty. Number 7, attention. Then there's 6 occasionals, and number 1, application. 2, sustainment. Number 3, decision. Number 4, energy. Number 5, joy. Number 6, desire. 19 beautiful universals. We got faith, mindfulness, conscience, shame, non-greed, non-hatred, ever evenness. Number 8, tranquility of mental body. Number 9, tranquility of consciousness. Number 10, lightness of mental body, lightness of consciousness, flexibility of mental body, flexibility of consciousness. Number 14, wieldiness of mental body. Number 15, wieldiness of consciousness, proficiency of mental body. Number 17, proficiency of consciousness. 18, rectitude of mental body. And number 19, rectitude of consciousness. After this, discern all the types of mental formations in the sequence of 6 types of consciousness that comprise a mind door process of the first jhana. The 6 types of consciousness are: first, number 1, a mind door averting consciousness, 12 mental formations. Number 2, a preparatory consciousness, 34 mental formations. Number 3, an access consciousness, 34 mental formations. Number 4, a conformity consciousness, 34 mental formations. Number 5, a change of lineage consciousness, is 34 mental formations. And number 6, an uninterrupted sequence of jhana impulsion consciousnesses, 34 mental formations which you have by now already discerned. To discern all these mental formations, you must again reestablish the first jhana, such as the first Anapana jhana, emerge from it, and again discern the bhavanga and the pativanga nimitta together. When the nimitta appears in the bhavanga, discern the jhana mind-door process that just occurred. You discern each of the different consciousnesses in the first jhana mind-door process and their 12 or 34 types of mental formation. After this, and to give you an understanding of mentality as a whole, discern the characteristic common to all mentality, nama, to all mental formations, which is the characteristic of bending towards and adhering to the object, in this case, the Anapana Pativanga Nimitta. You need in the same way to discern and analyze the mentality of also the second, third, and fourth Anapana jhanas, as well as any other jhanas of other meditation subjects that you have attained, for example, foulness, white kasina, and loving kindness jhana. If, however, you only have access concentration with 4 elements meditation, you must begin your discernment of mentality there. You cannot discern the mentality of a jhana consciousness without jhana. In that case, you must, with the 4 elements meditation, reestablish access concentration, where the translucent form of your body sparkles and emits light. After resting there for some time, turn to Vipassana with a refreshed and clear mind and discern the mentality of that access concentration. Having now discerned the different mental processes in your previous samatha practice, be it access or jhana concentration, you then move on to discern the different mental formations of a sensual sphere process. How you discern sensual sphere processes. Wise and unwise attention. A jhana attainment process, which is a mind or process of either the fine material sphere or immaterial sphere, is always wholesome. It can never be unwholesome. But a sensual sphere process, either a 5-door or mind door process, is either wholesome or unwholesome. It depends on wise attention, yoniso manasikara, or unwise attention, ayoniso manasikara. Attention determines whether a sensual sphere process is wholesome or unwholesome. If you look at an object and know it as materiality, mentality, cause or effect, impermanent suffering, non-self, or repulsiveness, then your attention is wise attention, and the impulsion consciousness is wholesome. If you look at an object and see it as a concept, such as a person, man, woman, being, gold, silver, or see it as permanent happiness or self, then your attention is unwise attention, and the impulsion consciousness is unwholesome. In exceptional cases, however, an impulsion consciousness connected with a concept may be wholesome. For example, when practicing loving kindness and making offerings, you will see the difference when you discern those mental processes. How you discern mind-door processes. To discern sensual sphere processes, you should begin by discerning a mind-door process, because there the types of consciousness are fewer. You may start with a wholesome mind-door process. A wholesome mind-door process of the sensual sphere consists of a sequence of 3 types of consciousness. Number 1, a mind-door averting consciousness, 12 mental formations. Number 2, 7 impulsion consciousnesses, if unwholesome, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 mental formations. If wholesome, 32, 33, 34, 35 mental formations. There's slashes between these numbers. Number 3, 2 registration consciousnesses, 34, 33, 32, 12, 11 mental formations. First, you discern the bhavanga, mind door, and then the eye translucency in a rupa kalapa in the eye. When it appears in the bhavanga, you cognize it with wise attention as, this is eye translucency, this is materiality, this is impermanent, this is suffering, this is non-self, this is repulsive, and there will occur a sensual sphere mind door process. Then, To discern the different types of mental formation of that mind door processes, consciousnesses, you do as you did with the jhana mind door process, begin with either consciousness, feeling, or contact, whichever is most prominent. Then add one mental formation at a time. Discern first one type, then add one. So you discern two types of mental formations. Add one more, so you see three. Add one more, so you see four, etc. Until eventually you see all 34, 33, or 32 types of mental formation of each consciousness of a sensual sphere, wholesome mind or process. You should do this again and again until you are satisfied. You need to thus discern the mind or processes that take place when you look at each type of materiality that you examined when you discerned materiality. So here's a note that there's tables here. Table 1B, the mind door processes. I'm not going to go read because I'm not exactly sure how to read it. And then there's further notes for table 1B, the mind door processes, but I'm going to skip this box as well, since it would help to look at a visual, I feel more. So on to the next section here, how you discern 5-door processes. Once you have finished discerning the mind door processes, you should go on to discern the 5-door processes, starting with the eye door process. Again, then there's table 1C, the 5-door process, and it breaks down the process here and on many different levels and tables, or actually I don't know what to say about it. And then there's further notes for table 1C, the 5-door process. Okay, back to the reading. To discern the mental formations of each consciousness in an eye door process, you cause an eye door process to occur. First, you discern the eye translucency, eye door, then the bhavanga, mind door, and then both at once. Then concentrate on the color of a nearby group of rupa kalapas as it appears in both doors, and cognize it with wise attention as this is color, etc. And there will occur at first an eye door process, and then, in accordance with the natural law of consciousness, many mind door processes, all with the same object. The eye door process consists of a sequence of 7 types of consciousness. Number 1, a 5-door averting consciousness, 11 mental formations. Number 2, an eye consciousness, 8 mental formations. Number 3, a receiving consciousness, 11 mental formations. Number 4, an investigating consciousness, 11/12 mental formations. Number 5, a determining consciousness, 12 mental formations. Number 6, 7 impulsion consciousnesses. If unwholesome, 16, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 mental formations. If wholesome, 32, 33, 34, 35 mental formations. Number 7, 2 registration consciousnesses. 11, 12, 32, 33, 34 mental formations. After this follows a sequence of bhavanga consciousnesses, and then the 3 types of consciousness of the mind door process, as described before. Number 1, a mind door averting consciousness. Number 2, 7 impulsion consciousnesses. Number 3, 2 registration consciousnesses. To discern the different types of mental formation of the consciousnesses of those processes, the eye door and the subsequent mind door processes take the same object, you do as before. Begin with either consciousness, feeling, or contact, whichever is most prominent. Then, as before, add one at a time until you see all the different types of mental formations of each consciousness. As you did for the eye door, you then discern the mental processes of the other 4 doors, the ear, nose, tongue, and body. By this stage, you will have developed the ability to discern mentality associated with wholesome consciousnesses, and now need to discern mentality associated with also unwholesome consciousnesses. To do this, you simply take the same objects as you did for the wholesome consciousnesses and instead pay unwise attention to them. This is merely a brief explanation, but the examples given here should be sufficient for you to at least understand what is involved in discerning mentality internally. In summary, you have so far completed the first 3 stages of discerning mentality. Number 1, you have discerned all the types of consciousness that occur internally. Number 2, you have discerned each and every mental formation in all the types of consciousness. Number 3, you have discerned the sequences of consciousnesses, that is, the mental processes that occur at the 6 sense doors. As mentioned earlier, there is also a 4th stage to discerning mentality. The 4th stage is to discern mentality also externally. How you discern external mentality. To discern mentality externally, you need always first to discern materiality externally. First discern materiality internally, externally. You begin by discerning the 4 elements internally and then externally in the clothes you're wearing. You will see that your clothes break down into rupa kalapas and that you are able to discern the 8 types of materiality in each. They are temperature-born, nutritive essence, octad kalapas, and the temperature they arise from is the temperature in rupa kalapas. You should alternate between the internal and external materiality 3 or 4 times, and then with the light of concentration, discern external materiality a little further away, such as the floor. You will also there be able to discern the 8 types of materiality in each rupa kalapa, and should again alternate between the internal and external 3 or 4 times. In this way, gradually expand your field of discernment to the materiality in the building in which you are sitting, the area around it, including the trees, other buildings, etc., until you discern all inanimate materiality externally. While doing this, you will see also materiality coexistent with consciousness, translucent materiality, etc., in the inanimate objects. It is the insects and other small animals in the trees, buildings, etc. Once you have discerned all inanimate materiality externally, you now go on to discern the materiality of other living beings, external materiality that is coexistent with consciousness. You discern only their materiality and see that they are not a man, a woman, a person, or a being, only materiality. Discern all external materiality at once, then all the different types of materiality, both internally and externally. To do this, you should first see the 6 basic types of rupa kalapa in your own eye, and then in an external eye, another being's eye. As when you analyze materiality, discern the 54 types of materiality, but now do it both internally and externally. Do the same for the remaining 5 sense bases and remaining types of materiality. Second, discern mentality internally/externally. Having now discerned materiality completely, you proceed to discern mentality internally and externally. You discern mentality internally by again starting with the mind door and then 5-door processes, discerning all their wholesome and unwholesome mental formations. To do this externally, you do as you did internally, but discern the eye door and bhavanga mind door of other beings in general. Then, when the color of a group of rupa kalapas appears in both doors, discern also here the eye door process that occurs and the many mind door processes that occur, all with the same object. You should do this again and again, internally and externally, and again for each of the other 4 sense doors until you are satisfied. If you have jhana, you should also discern external jhana mind door processes. That may be in another meditator, although jhana concentration is now very, very rare in the human world. But you will find beings in jhana in the Deva and Brahma worlds. Following The same procedure as before. You should gradually extend your range of discernment until you can see materiality throughout the infinite universe and can see mentality throughout the infinite universe. Then you should discern them together throughout the infinite universe. Lastly, you defined all that mentality and materiality with wisdom to see no beings, men or women, only mentality and materiality throughout the infinite universe. That concludes the discernment of mentality. Having reached this stage in your meditation, you will have developed concentration and will have used it to discern all 28 kinds of materiality and all 53 kinds of mentality throughout the infinite universe. You will have completed the first Vipassana knowledge, the mentality materiality definition knowledge. Our next talk will be about the next stage of Vipassana, the discernment of dependent origination. Questions and answers 5. Question 5.1. The 8 attainments make Samapatti make it possible to attain the mentality materiality definition knowledge and to see their subtle arising and perishing, so as to become disgusted with them and attain the path knowledge, Magganama. Are there, apart from this, other benefits to the 8 attainments? Answer 5.1. There are 5 benefits to jhana concentration. The first benefit of jhana concentration is a present blissful abiding, enjoying jhana happiness in this very life. This refers to arhats. Even though pure Vipassana arhats naturally possess the super-mundane jhanas, they may still want to develop mundane jhanas because they want to enjoy the blissful abiding of jhana. Since they are arhats with all defilements removed by path knowledge, which means also their hindrances have been removed, it is very easy for them to develop jhana. Another reason why they will usually develop jhana is that they want to attain cessation. It requires mastery of the 8 attainments. A bhikkhu's duty is to learn the scriptures, to practice samatha vipassana meditation, and to attain the 4 paths and the 4 fruitions. That is what arhats have done, so there is no more work for them to do. They practice jhana concentration for no reason other than the enjoyment of jhana bliss in this very life. The second benefit of jhana concentration is the benefit of vipassana. Jhana concentration is a support for vipassana knowledge because with jhana one can see ultimate mentality, materiality, and their causes clearly and can discern their impermanent suffering and non-self nature. When a yogi has practiced vipassana thoroughly, especially up to the path knowledge and fruition knowledge, or the formations equanimity knowledge, jhanas are usually stable. They make the vipassana knowledge clear, bright, strong, and powerful. That strong and powerful vipassana knowledge in its turn also protects the jhanas from falling down. Then again, when a yogi has been practicing vipassana for a long time, tiredness may occur. Then he should go into jhana for long to rest the mind. Refreshed, he can then switch back to vipassana. When it happens again, he can again rest in jhana. So, because of concentration, vipassana is clear, bright, strong, and powerful, and well protected. Vipassana, in its turn, destroys the defilements that hinder concentration and keeps it stable. Samatha protects vipassana and vice versa. Furthermore, the concentration of the 8 attainments is not only a support for the discernment of mentality, materiality, and their causes, because those 8 attainments are themselves mentality and included in the discernment of mentality. One enters into, for example, the first jhana, emerges, and then contemplates the formations associated with that jhana as impermanent suffering and non-self. Then one enters the second jhana and does the same. And one can do this with all 8 attainments up to the 4th immaterial jhana. It is called samatha and vipassana yoked together. Like 2 bullocks pulling one cart, pulling one towards path, fruition, and nibbana. If one practices Vipassana up to formation's equanimity knowledge, one can also keep one's discernment of the jhana formations to only one of the jhanas. With such strong and powerful samatha yoked with strong and powerful vipassana, one may attain path and fruition up to arhatship. The third benefit of jhana concentration is psychic powers. If one wants to master the mundane psychic powers, like the recollection of past lives, the divine eye and the divine ear, knowing the consciousness of others, and the supernormal powers, flying, walking on water, etc., one must develop the 10 kasinas and the 8 attainments in 14 ways. The fourth benefit of jhana concentration is what is called a specific existence. That is, if one wants rebirth in a Brahma realm at death, one must develop concentration, such as the 10 kasina, anapana, or loving kindness jhana. But to be sure of rebirth in a Brahma realm means the jhana must be maintained up to the moment of death. The fifth benefit of jhana concentration is cessation. The attainment of cessation, which is the temporary cessation of consciousness, associated mental factors, and consciousness-born materiality. Temporary means usually for a day up to 7 days, depending on one's prior determination, adhitthana. Only non-returners, anagami, and arhats can attain cessation. And for arhats, apart from when they are asleep and apart from when they pay attention to concepts, they never stop seeing the arising and perishing, or just the perishing of mentality, materiality, and their causes, all day, all night, for days, months, and years. Sometimes they get disenchanted and bored and just do not want to see those phenomena of perishing anymore. But because their lifespan is not over, it is not yet time for their parinibbana. Therefore, to stop seeing those phenomena of perishing, they enter cessation. Why do they never stop seeing those phenomena? Because with arhatship, they have destroyed all defilements, including the hindrances, and have therefore concentration. The concentrated mind sees ultimate phenomena as they really are, so it sees always ultimate mentality, materiality as they really are, which are the phenomena of perishing. When one enters cessation, let's say for 7 days, one does not see the phenomena of perishing because, for as long as the attainment lasts, the consciousness and associated mental factors that would have known the phenomena has ceased. Although arhats are able to abide in nibbana attainment, they may still prefer to abide in cessation because although the nibbana attainment takes the unformed as object, there remains the mental formation of feeling. But in the attainment of cessation, only the formation that remains is the material formation of kama, temperature, and nutriment-born materiality. No consciousness-born materiality and no consciousness. To enter cessation, one must establish the first jhana, emerge from it, and discern the first jhana dhammas as impermanent suffering or non-self. One must do the same progressively up to the base of boundless consciousness, which is the second immaterial jhana. Then one must enter the base of nothingness, the third immaterial jhana, emerge from it, and make 4 determinations. Number 1, to reflect on the limit of one's lifespan, and then within that, to determine a period for the attainment of cessation, for example, 7 days, at the end of which one will emerge from the attainment. Number 2, to emerge from the attainment of cessation, one should one be wanted by a Buddha. Number 3, to emerge from the attainment of cessation, should one be wanted by the Sangha. Number 4, that the property in one's immediate surroundings not be destroyed by, for example, fire or water. One's robe and the seat one is sitting on is protected by the attainment itself. But the furniture in the room one is in, or the room itself, or the building, will be protected only if one makes this 4th determination. Then one enters the base of neither perception nor non-perception, the fourth immaterial jhana. After only one or two consciousness moments in that attainment, one enters cessation for the determined period, for example, 7 days. One does not see anything while in the attainment because all consciousness and associated mental factors have ceased. Question 5.2. Which is easiest and quickest for the attainment of Nibbana? Using theory to perceive impermanent suffering and non-self, or using concentration to discern ultimate phenomena? Answer 5.2. What is impermanence? Impermanence is the 5 aggregates. This definition is mentioned in many commentaries. If a yogi sees the 5 aggregates clearly, he can see impermanence, suffering, and non-self, no problem. But without seeing the 5 aggregates, how can he see impermanence, suffering, and non-self? If he tries to do so without seeing the 5 aggregates, his vipassana will be only reciting vipassana, not true vipassana. Only true vipassana produces the path and fruition knowledges. What are the 5 aggregates? They are the materiality aggregate, the feeling aggregate, the perception aggregate, the formations aggregate, and the consciousness aggregate of past, future, present, internal and external, gross and subtle, inferior and superior, far and near. The materiality aggregate is the 28 types of materiality, rupa. The feeling, perception, and formations aggregate are the 52 associated mental factors, cetasika. The consciousness aggregate is the 89 types of consciousness, citta. The 28 types of materiality are what is called materiality, and the 52 associated mental factors and 89 types of consciousness are what is called mentality. So the 5 aggregates and mentality materiality are one and the same thing. These are the ultimate mentality materiality. If a yogi sees these ultimate mentality materiality, he can practice vipassana and see the impermanent suffering and non-self nature of these mentality materiality. But if he cannot see ultimate mentality materiality, how can he practice vipassana, since they and their causes are the necessary objects of vipassana knowledge? This is true vipassana. Only true vipassana produces the path and fruition knowledges. The Mahasatipatthana Sutta. In the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, the Buddha taught that to attain Nibbana, there is only one way, no other way. What is the way? The Buddha said to practice concentration first, because a concentrated mind can give rise to the seeing of ultimate mentality, materiality, and their causes. Again, a concentrated mind can give rise to the seeing of impermanence, suffering, and non-self nature of ultimate mentality, materiality, and their causes. But we cannot say which is the quickest way to attain Nibbana. It depends on one's parami. For example, the Venerable Sariputta needed about 2 weeks hard work to attain the Arhat path and fruition, whereas the Venerable Moggallana needed only 7 days. And Bahia Drakuchariya needed only to listen to a very short discourse. In the scene merely will be ... The speed with which they attained arhatship was because of their individual parami. The Venerable Sariputta and the Venerable Mahamoggallana had developed their parami for 1 incalculable in 100,000 aeons, and Bahia for about 100,000 aeons. The Venerable Sariputta and Venerable Moggallana's arhat path were associated with the chief disciples' enlightenment knowledge, whereas Bahia's arhat path was associated with only the great disciples' enlightenment knowledge. The chief disciples' enlightenment knowledge is higher than the great disciples' enlightenment knowledge. Since there is only one way to attain Nibbana, these disciples did not attain arhatship because of a wish. They attained arhatship through present effort supported by their past effort, their parami. Question 5.3. The round of rebirth, samsara, is without beginning or end. Beings are also infinite in number, so those who have been our mother are infinite too. How can we develop loving kindness by contemplating that all beings have been our mother? Can we attain loving kindness jhana by contemplating that all beings have been our mother? Answer 5.3. Loving kindness meditation does not concern the past or future. It concerns only the present. Only an object of the present can produce loving kindness jhana, not one of the past or future. We cannot attain jhana by extending loving kindness to the dead. In the endless rounds of rebirth, there may very well be no one who has not been our father or mother, but loving kindness meditation is not concerned with the endless rounds of rebirth. It is not necessary to consider that this was our mother, this our father. In the Karanayaya Metta Sutta, the Buddha said, and no translation of it that I'll spare you of, but it continues, this means that just as a mother with an only son would give up even her life for him, so a bhikkhu should extend loving kindness to all beings. This is the Buddha's instruction, but the attitude of a mother cannot alone lead to jhana. If we extend loving kindness with the thought, may this person be well and happy, it will produce jhana. Question 5.4. The following questions are all covered by the same answer. Was there a bodhisattva during the Buddha's time? If so, did he attain a path, or was he just an ordinary person? Why can a noble one not become a bodhisattva? Can a disciple change to become a bodhisattva? If not, why not? When by following the Sayadaw's teaching, one is able to attain path and fruition knowledge of stream entry, can one choose to not do so because of a desire invalid to practice the bodhisattva path? Answer 5.4. One can change one's mind before attaining a path or fruition, but not afterwards. In many suttas, the Buddha taught that the path occurs according to a law of nature. The law of nature says, number 1, stream entry path, sotipanna magga, produces the stream entry fruition, after which one can progress to the once returner stage, but one cannot regress to the ordinary person stage. Number 2, a once returner can progress to the non-returner stage, anagami stage, but cannot regress to the stream enterer or ordinary person stages. Number 3, a non-returner can progress to arhatship, but cannot regress to the once returner, stream enterer, or ordinary person stages. Number 4, an arhat attains parinibbana at death and cannot regress to the lower noble stages, the ordinary person stage, or any other stage. Arhatship is the end. This is the law of nature. Referring to arhatship, the Buddha said many times, "This is the last rebirth. Now there is no new rebirth." This means that one cannot change one's mind and decide to become a bodhisattva after having attained a path or fruition. Moreover, one cannot change one's mind after having received a definite prophecy from a Buddha or Arhat, but one may wish to wait and become an Arhat sometime in the future and then change one's mind and attain Arhatship in this life. The Visuddhimagga gives an example of a Mahatera, the Venerable Mahasanghara-hita, who did this. He was an expert in the 4 foundations of mindfulness, had practiced samatha vipassana up to the formations equanimity knowledge, and had never performed a bodily or verbal action without mindfulness. And he had developed sufficient samatha vipassana parami to be able to attain arhatship if he wanted to. But because he wanted to see Aramataya Buddha, he had decided to wait and become an arhat only in that dispensation. According to the law of nature we just mentioned, he would not be able to see Aramataya Buddha if he attained arhatship now. But at the time near his death, a large number of people gathered because they thought he was an arhat and thought he was going to attain parinibbana, although he was in fact still an ordinary person. When his disciple told him many people had gathered because they thought he was going to attain Parinibbana, the Mahatera said, "Oh, I had wanted to see Amartya Buddha, but if there is a large assembly, then let me meditate." And he practiced Vipassana. Now that he had changed his mind, and because he had in his past lives not received a definite prophecy, he very soon attained arhatship. During the Buddha's time, there was no mention of a definite prophecy to a bodhisattva except for Aramataya Bodhisattva, who was a bhikkhu named Ajita. The Tipitaka does not say either when the next Buddha after Aramataya Buddha will arise, so we cannot say how many bodhisattvas there were during the Buddha's time. Question 5.5. Is it possible to practice the path to liberation and the path to bodhisattva, path to Buddhahood at the same time? If so, what is the method? Answer 5.5. Liberation, vimutti, means escape from defilements or the round of rebirths. When a bodhisattva becomes a Buddha, he escapes from the round of rebirths at his parinibbana. If you, as a disciple, try to attain arhatship and succeed, you will also escape from the rounds of rebirth at your parinibbana. A person cannot become a Buddha as well as a disciple. He must choose either one or the other, but they both escape from the rounds of rebirth when they attain arhatship. The way to attain the arhat path is the final path to liberation. Question 5.6. Is this method of meditation for liberation only, or is it also for the bodhisattva path? Answer 5.6. It is for both. In a previous talk, we mentioned that Sakyamuni Buddha was a bhikkhu in 9 of his past lives as a bodhisattva. If we look at his practice in those 9 lives, we see the 3 trainings: morality, sila, concentration, samadhi, and wisdom, panya. The bodhisattva was able to practice the 8 attainments, 5 mundane psychic powers, and vipassana up to the formations equanimity knowledge. Now you too are developing samatha vipassana meditation based on morality. When you have practiced the 3 trainings up to the formations equanimity knowledge, you can choose either way. If you want liberation, you can choose to go to nibbana. If you want to become a bodhisattva, you can choose the bodhisattva way, no problem. Question 5.7. Do all the good and bad kammas of an arhat mature prior to his parinibbana? Answer 5.7. Not all. Some good and bad kamma may mature and produce the results. If they do not mature, they do not produce a result and are lapsed kamma that no longer produces any result. For example, the unwholesome kamma of one of the Venerable Mahamoggallana's past lives produced its results just before his parinibbana. In one of his past lives, he had tried unsuccessfully to kill his blind parents. Due to that unwholesome kamma, he suffered in hell for many thousands of years, and when he escaped from hell, he was killed in about 200 lives. In each of those lives, his skull was crushed. In his last life, too, every bone in his body was crushed, including his skull. Why? The unwholesome kamma had matured. Unless unwholesome and wholesome kammas have matured, they do not produce any results. They are kamma by name only. Question 5.8. After his enlightenment, did the Buddha say, originally all beings have the Tathagata's wisdom and other qualities? Answer 5.8. Now you have accepted that Shakyamuni Buddha attained enlightenment. You should consider whether the Tathagata's qualities of enlightenment are present in all beings, especially in yourself. Do you possess any of the Tathagata's qualities? Question 5.9. Is the Arhat's perception of voidness in his own 5 aggregates the same as his perception of voidness in outside inanimate things? Is nibbana the same as entering voidness? Answer 5.9. The perception of voidness in one's 5 aggregates and in outside inanimate things is the same. Nibbana was given the name voidness because of the path, sunyata. When a yogi knows formations as not non-self, and if that time he sees Nibbana, his path knowledge is called the void liberation. Just like the path is called the void liberation, so is the object of the path, which is Nibbana, also called voidness. Here the void liberation means the escape from defilements by seeing the non-self nature of formations. Question 5.10. Are all suttas taught by the Buddha only? Answer 5.10. Most of the suttas in the Tipitaka are taught by the Buddha. A few suttas are said to be taught by disciples like Venerable Sariputta, the Venerable Mahamoggallana, and the Venerable Ananda. But the suttas taught by the disciples have the same meaning as had they been taught by the Buddha. This is evident when the Buddha in some of the suttas gives his approval by uttering, "It is good, sadhu." For example, in the Mahakachanyana Bhad Eka Rata Sutta of the Majjhima Nikaya, which was taught by the Venerable Mahakachayana. Question 5.11. Since we cannot see the Buddha while in concentration, can we see him by psychic powers to discuss Dhamma with him? Answer 5.11. No, you cannot. One of the psychic powers is called recollection of past lives. If a yogi possesses this psychic power and met a Buddha in one of his past lives, he can see that as a past experience only, not as a new experience. If Dhamma was discussed, there will be only old questions and answers. There cannot be new questions and answers. This ends Talk 5 by the Venerable Pa-Auk Sayadaw in the book Knowing and Seeing.